Now, the next question is, who am I and where did I go to school and who influenced me and why am I here, I think. I am a product of the public school systems of Durham, North Carolina. Both my parents were college professors. My father has been dead for 10 years almost. The 10th year of his anniversary is next month. My mother is now retired, about 4 or 5 years. And she retired as an academic dean after being at her institution for 49 years. So one could say that teaching is the family business in our family. And that's very much a part of who I am. I grew up in an environment where words and ideas and thinking and talking were valued. And books were highly and continue to be highly respected for the kinds of ideas they have in them and the worlds they can take you into. And so being raised in that kind of environment has made me, I think, in some ways, naturally curious. My mother often calls it nosiness, but I think it's curiousness. I think that's part of my job as an ethicist, is to be curious about the world around me, to ask why. And not why just to be ornery, but why to understand, to know what it is, why it is we do what we do, why we have, as human beings and as we relate to the larger world around us, such great moments of brilliance and compassion, and such disappointing seasons almost of just being wretched towards the environment and to ourselves, and if we could get at it, outer space, I'm sure. And so that sense of curiosity is very much who I am. I went to college at the University of Chicago and stayed there to earn my master's in religion and my doctor of ministry in religion. And then I took a little break, and once I realized that I did want to go into the family business, I knew I had to go back and get a PhD, and so my PhD is from the joint program with Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary, a United Methodist School, and Northwestern University. I think I'm a curious blend of both the University of Chicago and Northwestern as a response to that. And I have been very lucky in my professional and personal life, because I have met some just incredible people who have opened up their lives to me and sort of pushed me to grow. People like David Bartlett, who is the Dean of Students at Yale University. He is my mentor in ministry when I first came through. Not sure about the church. I didn't enter divinity school believing the church was good and righteous, and I still don't think the church is good and righteous all the time. But he allowed me to come in with a fair amount of skepticism in my field education, and he helped grow me up some. And so I really look at him as a father in ministry for me. Folks like Sally Dries, who at that time, as I was in divinity school for the first time, was the executive director of the Ecumenical Women's Center in Chicago, and she took me under her wing. And some of the other women at that center who were older than I was the youngest by far, who said, you have some potential, but you need a little molding because you're really rough around the edges and you say things that may not be very politic from time to time. You need to learn tact and timing. Those folks are very, very important to me. And so, in terms of my professional life, those are the folks and others who've really pushed me in ways that have really just sort of set me off into pathways of growth. But personally, my mother and my father and my grandmother and my aunts and uncles and my sister have been very formative to me. In terms of, they don't let me get away with much, which is really nice. When I'm working on books, and when I've finished a manuscript, I'll give it to my mother. And if she can't read it, then I need to keep writing. If my sister says it's boring, I need to do something about it. My sister is an artist who started out her professional career as a lawyer and was very successful and hated it. And she decided to follow her heart, which is art, and she's an incredible artist. So when she's saying this is boring, I really listen to her because she's trained to think with both her head and her eye. And so if it's not working, so she's a wonderful hero to me as I look at my life. And so that personal side comes into my professional life. Because really my bottom line whenever I put anything in print or whenever I speak to people either on videotape or in person, however I interact as a professional, my bottom line is I cannot embarrass my family. I have to be prepared enough and articulate enough and engaged enough in what I'm doing so that I don't embarrass my family, that I would not want them to see me doing what I'm doing, that I would not want them to hear a report about how I spoke or what I looked like. So they really have a profound effect on me because actually that's more grounding than my professional colleagues who will make all kinds of allowances because, we all commit the same sets of sins and victories.